First up, we open this broadcast with the latest footage that has been dropped by the United States of America on Operation Epic Fury. In the latest, the US is once again showing off and flexing its naval might. CENTCOM has released this video and it says world's largest carrier has been deployed and US carrier has also joined the ops in Iran. Take a look at this video. And joining me on this broadcast this morning, Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, defense expert. He's joining me live from the studios here, and also with us is former diplomat Ashok Sajjanar. But let me take my first question to Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni. So when we look at these pictures and the kind of videos that each side is releasing, the US obviously is claiming that it can fight these wars forever because of the kind of military might that they possess. But in the latest, they're talking about how that carriers have been used in Operation Epic Fury. What do you make of these pictures?
Thank you very much. At the very outset, the very fact that the two aircraft carriers, which are nuclear powered, indicative that the Iranian Navy is in deep trouble. Firstly. Secondly, because their own briefing indicated that about 10 of their warships have been sunk. And the one that recently got sunk about 40 nautical miles off near Sri Lanka is indicative that USA is not going to permit the Iranian Navy to rule the roost. If the real success of the American aircraft carriers, the entire strength that the America can put at sea, would be if the Strait of Hormuz is kept open. If there is a fear for the commercial shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, then any amount of might may not work, because it's very important. If the Strait of Hormuz, which supplies 20% of oil and gas to the entire world, and over 80% of it towards the Southeast Asian countries, and to India alone, over 40% of oil and 60% of gas, if all that can be kept open in the next 1 week, then yes, all the might that the Americans have deployed on the seas would be indicative of their strength at play, and the Iranians' navy sunk. Because the IRGC Navy, the Iranian Navy, both of them, if the Americans can neutralize, then nothing like it, because the air supremacy, the naval supremacy, the ability to target the missile launchers of Iran surely would weigh heavily for Iran at this point of time.
Yes, and while you talk about the Strait of Hormuz and oil, we also have another development coming in, and Donald Trump in the latest has also spoken about how he thinks oil prices are going to come down. But that's another aspect. But before that, viewers, I want to show you some contrasting pictures. On one hand, you have the United States, which has launched Operation Epic Fury, and they are constantly releasing these videos. And then you also have the pictures of the President of the United States coming in from the Oval Office. Now, let me describe these pictures. These are pictures of pastors at the Oval Office. This is a moment of faith and a moment of prayer. But just look at the contrast here. we are showing pictures of the war, or what the war looks like. And here, this is a moment of faith and a moment of prayer. Why are we talking about this? Because the rhetoric in the United States, and we'll also pull up a graphic here about what some soldiers have spoken about and what their troop commanders have been telling them. Let's pull up that graphic here about the reference to Armageddon. And I want our former diplomat Ashok Sajjanar to also come in and weigh in on this. So, military commander to non-commissioned officers has made certain, comments. This is a complaint that was filed with a religious freedom watchdog. What did the military commander say as per the comment? Donald Trump has been anointed by Jesus. This is a claim made in the complaint. And then the complaint also goes on to say that the military commander said that he was anointed, in reference to Donald Trump, he was anointed to light the signal fire in Iran. After which, he also went on to say that Trump has been anointed to cause Armageddon. Why is a biblical reference made? We'll talk about that. And that the war in Iran is part of God's plan. Now, this is part of reports. It was a complaint, anonymous complaint that was filed with the Religious Freedom Watchdog. The complaint talks about military commander, the claims that he made to his troops, to non-commissioned officers. Ashok Sajjanar, former diplomat with us. Mr. Sajjanar, today we are talking about the various strategies of Donald Trump, but here it's also about imagery and how the language of war in America seems to be taking a religious turn. On one hand, you have the US flexing its military might. On the other, we are seeing pictures coming in from the Oval Office of how there were pastors who came in and they were all in a moment of prayer. And then this kind of a complaint and the reference to Armageddon. What do you make of all this?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on the show. You're very right. As far as the United States is concerned, it is leaving no stone unturned, both at the global level, as also at the domestic level, to ensure that there is support as far as the U.S. action is concerned. Because there has been, two aspects here. There has been huge criticism as far as the United States is concerned, that its action in Iran, along with Israel, has been against the international law, against the UN Charter, against the UN principle that many countries have been saying. We have heard Spain coming out openly and saying this. Even domestically, it's been mentioned that, not only as far as the international law is concerned, but even as far as the U.S. domestic law is concerned, that it should go to the Congress, seek approval of the Congress. Mr. Trump has not done that. So, he is stretching, he's extending his authority and power in areas where it doesn't go, like he did as far as tariffs are concerned. So there is a pushback on that. And the second aspect is the manner in which the war is being conducted, because, what the assessment as far as the United States and Israel was, that, once there is decapitation of the top religious leadership, once there's decapitation of the military leadership in Iran, then that whole superstructure is going to crumble, leaving the way open for an alternative government, for alternative leadership to come. That, unfortunately, for the United States has not happened. In fact, they're getting stronger. There is no sign of all those people, the thousands, tens of thousands of people who had come out of the streets after the protest started on the 28th of December last year, right, protesting against the depreciation of Real, etc. They are nowhere to be seen. Nowhere to be seen the women who had protested in 2022 against the Masa Amini incident. Okay. So, there also there is a pushback. So here, what Mr. Trump and the White House are trying to do is use every means to reach out to the people and to sort of, have a supernatural sort of an impact as far as the war is concerned, that Mr. Trump is only an instrument. This has been destined by the Almighty, and he is only the instrument to conduct this Armageddon as had happened in the Bible.
And there was a video that has been posted with a caption, and this was a video posted by the White House, and the language there has been dramatic too. The caption read, and I'm going to tell you about this video that had references to Qasem Soleimani's death. The White House used the caption which read, "Those who chanted death to America have been gifted death by America."